Hi, welcome to today's edition of Daily US Pre-Market Analysis. We'll get started in a few seconds here. Welcome, Primex Solution, Arbifi. Welcome to all. All right, so let's get started here. First of all, let's get the disclaimer out of the way. The information, context, opinions which are expressed in the presentation and on the following slides are only solely those of the presenter and not necessarily those of Vantage, and are solely used for educational purposes, as they do not constitute investment advice and or consultation on how a client should trade. Vantage does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information provided herein. About your host, I'm Gio Benacourt. I'm a senior VIP market analyst, market educator, and demonstrator of strategies with Vantage, bringing with me over 20 years of experience. I am a commodity trader, and I hold a Series 3 license to be a commodity trader in the States. I also am a CMT candidate. The agenda, we will look at the economic calendar, looking at what's moving the markets, identifying key level support and resistance, and we'll be trading with tools like the Fibonacci trading tools. All right, a little history about Vantage. What we offer over 1,000 instruments, over 100 chart patterns, over 100 technical indicators and drawing tools, CFDs on Forex, indices, shares, commodities, cryptocurrencies. What we stand for: lightning fast execution, award-winning 24-hour support, intuitive tools, and global connectivity along with strict regulation. I like to begin by sharing some of my ideas. I like to identify clear, consistent trading habits. I also like to be comfortable with the prospect of losing money if the market goes against me. That will happen. Also, I like to emphasize risk management. When I look at trading at a position, I look at it as a percentage wise. So on a 10,000 euro account, I'm looking to risk between 1 and 2%, between 100 and 200 euros per trade. That will hold or help me control my emotions. Also, volatility can spike and spreads widen, and so reducing your leverage will be a great idea. The use of stop loss is highly recommended, so keep that in mind. And identifying trends, timing entry and exit points, risk management, confirmation, and validation. So what is technical analysis? Well, I think it's first important that we have a shared common vocabulary for what is technical analysis. So let's dive right in there. Is it just a form of data visualization? Obviously, charting, displaying market data in lots of different data visualization modes is a big part of where technical analysis came from. But you got to go back a couple of hundred years to the rice pits of Osaka, Japan, for a gentleman named Munehisa Homa, who invented the Japanese candlesticks as a way to try to capture all of the behavior of traders in those rice pits. We've of course advanced the discipline over hundreds of years, and there are lots of different chart types. But I'm gonna argue to you now is that technical analysis is far more than just collecting data and displaying it in a way that we can interpret a lot of information quickly. That is part of it. But if you look at definitions from some of the very early texts from the 1920s and 1930s, technical analysis is about the study of the market itself, all of that price action, all of the investor behavior, everything that's happening in an open, freely traded market is part of our discipline. And I love that definition because it is quite broad, and hopefully to today's session, you understand just how broad and this depth of study you'll go through. We also know that technical analysis is a study of that supply and demand relationship. We care a lot about the behavior and the psychology of investors And it's one of the hardest things to quantify when you're thinking about investment decisions. I'll argue that it's all represented in this beautiful little element called price, which we can call it also a systematic evaluation. And systems, the reason I bring this quote is that a lot of us have heard about algorithm trading, high frequency. You might be an advanced programmer, you might know Python or R or many other languages, and that is an important way to express some of the ideas. But even if you're not a coder, you're not an algo trader, you should be thinking in terms of systems, a rules-based, repeatable approach. And that's something that was drilled into me as I spent time surrounded by some of the best money managers in business, is that they have a defined, repeatable process or a system that they follow no matter what the market is doing. All right. So now a quick refresher from your Economy 101 class. Remember, at a fixed rate of supply, an increase in demand is going to move us up the price equilibrium, or a decrease in demand will move price down the equilibrium. So when we're thinking about an open, freely traded market, demand, greed of investors is inherently pushing prices up, and fear or selling pressure is going to push prices down because it's a fixed supply. And I want you to hold that thought in your mind because it is perhaps one of the most important parts of the magic that we're trying to unlock here, or the message of the market that we're trying to decode, which is related to learning that if you take emotion, the would be, or the could be, or the should be out of your decision making, and if you look at just what is happening and you can quantify that, you have a big advantage over most human beings. I will argue for all of us in the investment discipline, there's a lot of emotion tied to those trading decisions that we make each and every day, and those emotional impacts on our decision making can be very negative. So the more you can remove your emotional and cognitive bias from your decision making, the better chance you have of staying on the right side of trends. So no FOMO. Okay, no FOMO. All right, now that we covered that, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second, and I'm gonna share my charts with you so we can hop into identifying trade opportunities and looking at the market and see what is happening. All right, so now you should be seeing my charts. First of all, let's take a look at the economic calendar for today, for this week, which is going to be a pretty hectic week. So today we have the non-farm payrolls annual revision, which should be coming out in about 50 minutes. So that is to be a negative 818,000. So let's see what that will come out. And we'll have the also for mainland China came in the inflation rate year over year at a negative 0.2. Now we'll take a look at what we're going to be having later on this week. Tomorrow we'll have the PPI, and then we also will have the CPI down the road. So we'll have market data that will definitely move the markets. And we'll also have in the earnings session companies that are going to be, that have, and that will be also coming soon, that will be reporting. So we'll still have some momentum on the market. All right, so let's take a look at the charts and see what is moving the markets. So we have here in front of us a daily candlestick chart of the Nasdaq. We've identified levels of resistance and support yesterday, which were not met. Okay, they were not met. So we will still hold to those levels that we placed yesterday, since the market is giving us a sign that is looking to make another attempt at reaching that all-time high created back in August 13th. So the momentum, the trend line that we can come here and identify in this daily chart, it is to the upside. So we have an uptrend, right? We can clone this line here and create a channel for us. So we have this channel. Market is making higher highs, higher lows consecutively. So we are in an uptrend. Now if markets does happen to, let's say for example today, at least to reach that 24,000 psychological barrier or resistance in this case, we should contemplate the idea that the market might will continue to push higher to reach that all-time high and create a new all-time high. So in the essence of analyzing the markets, we can either use the 20-day moving average or the median of the Bollinger Bands, which is a 20-day moving average, and that's what my first level of support was yesterday, and leave that there. And since we have fluctuated to the upside, we could perhaps come in and take a look towards our left and see what patterns have been formed previously. So I'm looking at my left. I see that at the end of August, we basically kind of created what would be a double top in this essence. So I'm going to use that as my first level of support for today. I'm going to leave the same levels of resistance that we have yesterday since we didn't really come to them. So looking to go long on the NASDAQ. S&P, today we have picked our head above that first level of resistance that we had placed yesterday. And so therefore I'm going to tighten up my support in this asset, in this index, using the 20-day moving average, and then looking towards my left and looking at possible scenarios. This area here that I'm going to highlight somewhere around here tells me that the market has come about this level, and it has first resistance, then became support, it broke again. So now the market is above that. So support will be indicative for me around this area, which already have that particular level of support given by the 20-day moving average. So can I tighten up my first level of support? That will make it quite a tight range. I'm gonna leave it the same as it is. So, but looking to obviously move higher. Yesterday, obviously, sorry, on Friday, we created a new all-time high for the S&P. So chances are that we're still obviously in earnings season. So the market will come and attempt to take that out. So again, looking for longs in the S&P 500. We have the Dow here in front of us now. So the Dow in this daily candlestick chart, yesterday the market fluctuated to the downside. It did penetrate our first level of support. So therefore I'm going to just tighten up using the 20-day moving average, and I'm going to lower this a bit just to this low. So still looking to go long on the indexes. All right, crude oil. So crude oil has been in a mode that was in a sell mode. Yesterday we did fluctuate to the upside. It contracted itself, but it's within Friday's trading range if you look at this. So therefore I'm going to speculate that today, since the market had given us a run to the upside during the London session, that the market is going to be looking to break that psychological value of 64 and fluctuate to the upside. So I'm going to just tighten that level up. And as far as support, well, $62 psychologically will be giving us that level of support. I'm going to leave the same levels that we had yesterday. So looking to go long also on the energy. Now there is an inverted correlation between NASDAQ and crude oil. So crude oil pushes higher, NASDAQ should put lower. So or vice versa. If crude oil pushes lower, nat gas should jump higher. But right now it's kind of the same. It's not a 100% deal, but there's a correlation between them two. Now, nat gas has been pretty wild. It makes obviously higher highs, higher lows, indicative of an uptrend, which basically we have besides Friday's move lower. But it has been just idling within a range. Looking to make 315 its target. So let's see if today will be that day. I'm gonna actually just place my first level of support at $3 and leave the second as my first one, and then the targets will continue to be 315. So still looking to go long on nat gas. Gold. Well, gold. Our levels that we placed yesterday have been met. Chances for gold to continue to push higher are still there. So we can use our trend-based fib extension tool to come in and measure this breakout from the swing low created last week to today's London session fluctuation, and then the swing low, and then just use the tool to identify those levels of resistance. Since everything is new, this is new territory. Actually, today we also made a new all-time high, so why not use that? We have the tools available to us, so let's use them. I mean, you could also use psychological values, right, to use for resistance levels. So that will be, levels that you find fit for resistance, because again, we are basically in new territory. So support, I'm gonna use psychological values. So 3625 and 3600 as support. Now, yeah, in this time frame, we are overbought. Now, could there be a correction, profit taking? Yes, that is on the table. So, but overall, long-term trend higher, pushing higher, pushing higher. Then we have silver. So silver, it's catching a strong bid, right? It's catching a strong bid. So I'm going to speculate that silver will continue to push higher, looking to reach that $42 handle as more demand will come in for silver. So I'm gonna use yesterday's range for my first level of resistance and support. So I'm gonna leave the second one as is. It is pulling back now in the red, or it was, because now it's looking to recover. So let's see how much of recovery will we have. But overall, long term, I'm long the metals. Copper is also having a day, one of those days that it fluctuated to the upside, looking to reach our level of resistance, but quickly retreated and is trading up below 450. So I'm gonna use the 20-day moving average as my first level of support, and I'm gonna contract the short and use 444 actually psychological value for my second level of support, and I'm gonna leave the same level of resistance. So for copper, I'm gonna wait and see the direction of it, because it could just reverse and just continue to make another leg down as it is looking to do so now, and see if it'll revisit yesterday's swing low. So selling initially. All right, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, there's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of buzz in the market and on the floor. Bitcoin hitting 200,000 by the end of the year. I mean, it could happen, right? It could happen. So I'm gonna use 114 psychological value, and then I'm gonna use the upper Bollinger Band to use as my second level of resistance and support. I'm gonna leave the same levels. Bitcoin moves by thousands, But overall, looking for a leg up towards those resistance levels. So going long Bitcoin. All right, the currencies. Well, we saw the euro yesterday having a little bit of battle trying to sustain itself north of 117, and it did so. It reached our level of resistance. So therefore today, I'm gonna, since we did fluctuate higher and almost reach 118, I'm gonna leave that 118 as my first level of resistance, and then just use a psychological value as my second one. So 118,200, and support for the euro for today. The swing low, I'm actually gonna use, even though yesterday the market did open gap down, I'm gonna use that gap down, that opening, as my first level of support, and just tighten up my second to use the 20-day moving average or the mean of the Bollinger Band. So looking to go long on the currency. All right, so the pound is fetching for 136. It's fetching, is looking to reach that. So that's when I'm gonna leave my first level of resistance, and then there's just 136.250 support psychologically, and for whatever reason, obviously, coincidence, the 20-day moving average is hovering over that value of 135 psychological value. It's right below it, so I'm gonna use that 135 as my level of support. Now, is that gonna be my first level or my second level? Well, looking at this fluctuation, RSI momentum picking up and reaching 60. Once it reaches 60, it is going to imply that momentum is strong to the upside. So therefore, I'm more of a looking at the market to push higher. So I'm gonna actually just use a 135 225 as my first level of support. All right. So looking to go long. Then we have the dollar index. So the dollar index, it did fluctuate lower today. It did open a gap down. It has been closed. It had a leg up, but let's see how much of it will sustain. I'm going to bring down my level of resistance to 9,600. Actually, no. Actually, I'm going to use yesterday's open, around that open, as my level of resistance. And I'm still going to leave 97 as last support. So dollar index is looking to lose more ground in this, but obviously it'll have its battle. But looking to sell or looking to go short, looking for the dollar index to drop. Right now that I have identified my levels of resistance support for today, I break it down to the 1 hour time frame to analyze and look at what the market has been doing for the last hours or so. And this last hour, obviously the market had a fluctuation to the downside and is now pulling back from that low that it made. So market previously was in a consolidation stage, just idling, making equal highs, equal lows, basically. Therefore, and then we have that breakdown, but that breakdown didn't even hit the lower band of the Bollinger Band. So telling me that volatility was not that big. RSI is around the 50 marker. So will the RSI turn and show us momentum to the upside? Right now, if we were to open, we will open in the green because the market is up 17 points up and change. So we'll be opening in the green. So the consensus or the rhetoric of it will be that the market should reverse this momentum to the upside when it opens. Now it could also just continue to move to trade lower, just to take out those stop losses that people place, perhaps, and do a swing towards the support level, which market previously had done so yesterday. So let's see what will happen. The S&P had also a deeper move, but now it's retracing. Let's see how much of that will happen. Will it find resistance at the 20-day moving average? So we still gotta wait 5 minutes for the market to open. All right, in the Dow also basically last hour it has been in the red, so it could imply that the market could open to the downside. Now we have gold. I mean, sorry, not gas. Crude oil. Crude oil. We have crude oil in front of us. So we had a nice push to the upside. Market making intraday, short term, making higher highs, higher lows. Intraday open up to the upside. So 64 is the target. Now, would it retreat? Will it just change direction and push lower? We'll see. Nat gas is reversing off the 20-day moving average. So let's see if it'll hit that upper band and volatility will widen. All right. So gold is pushing higher. So it's pushing higher. Looking, it made a pretty nice move after just retracing. It took 3 hours for it to retrace what it moved in one. So that tells me that the trend, the uptrend, the bullish sentiment is still strong. RSI in this time frame is about to enter overbought territory, but that doesn't imply that the market will reverse. We are still looking for longs. All right, silver, after making that move, or it picked its head below 41, it found support right below that, and it's moving higher. Let's see first if it is able to fluctuate to the 20-day moving average and push higher. So we understand that the metals are in an uptrend in this hourly time frame. So momentum to the upside is our favor. So we'll just start looking for entry longs. Bitcoin, the same token. Look at this level 113. Psychological, again, those psychological values, they're used because it makes sense. It just, a lot of people, a lot of traders worldwide, is psychological. They use it, so why not use them? Then we have the currencies. All right, so in this hour, again, also the euro is reversing, pulling back after making that swing low. Now it's in the green. So let's see how much of the momentum is going to be sustained. The pound is looking to fluctuate above the 20-day moving average. Let's see if it's able to do that. And the dollar index in this hour has been fluctuate to the downside. We want this puppy to drop towards the 20-day moving average so we could see a spike on the currencies and the metals. All right, now that I kind of have a sense of what the market has been doing for the last hour, I'll break it down to 5 minutes. And in this 5 minutes, I turn off the Bollinger Bands, I will turn on the fractals, and I will turn on the VWAP. So for those of you who don't know what the VWAP is called volume weighted average price. So as you can see, the VWAP is like a magnet. It attracts price to it, and when the market is above that, above the VWAP, there's a lot of chances that the VWAP will be rejected by the market and it'll fluctuate in reverse. But if it penetrates the VWAP, we can use that as a possible entry short towards the lower band, as the market most likely will fluctuate or even be rejected through that, as we see in this particular scenario. Market fluctuating above towards the upper band, coming down towards the VWAP. VWAP has been rejected, and market continue to trade lower towards the lower band and then rejected back to the VWAP. So it stays within that VWAP band, the market. So market on top, if it's not a strong momentum, or if it began from the lower band, it will find resistance at that level, fluctuates to the VWAP, continues to fluctuate lower, rejects the lower band, and then reverses. So right now we are rejecting the VWAP in this particular asset, but that's an opportunity to enter long, since we understand that the lower band has been rejected and the market, or the VWAP, has attracted the market to it. Now that the market is above it, we could wait for a move towards the VWAP and enter long So that particular trade will look something like this. The target will be the upper band. The stop loss will be a previous level swing highs like such in here. So your target is like a scalping scenario. So we can speculate the market moving higher. Okay. All right. So we have the market opening, and there it goes. Boom. Market moves to the upside. This trade has been done. Market moving higher. So 23,860, 23,880 targets as the market continues to. But obviously, we want to wait for the market for the dust to settle. So let's see what will happen in the asset. Let's just start breaking them down and see. We want to be, if we're going to be using the VWAP, we want to be able to catch the market either if it trend back into the VWAP, so the market like sold right now, trending back into the band for us to go long. And then if the market happened to be on top, will the market fluctuate to the downside towards the VWAP? But again, we want to wait for the market to settle. The opening range is given by the open interest in the futures market. Open interest is all of the amount of trades that are open, that are waiting to be filled, and that will give us our range, our opening range. So therefore we'll wait for that. And obviously you could do that in an hourly or different time frames. In this 5 minutes will you see a strong fluctuation. So again, waiting for the markets to show us what that range will be. Dow starting to make a wider range, but again the consensus is for the upside to go long. Then we have crude oil that is basically just almost giving us a symmetrical triangle in a way at this moment, but then again also a descending triangle. So let's see if the asset will find a bid and make an attempt at reaching those previous highs, which is marked by the fractal indicator. Then we have nat gas. So nat gas is fluctuating around the VWAP, so giving us more of a use of the VWAP in this scenario. So market fluctuated around the VWAP. We want to wait about 10 minutes for the market to be 15 minutes and 15 minutes for the market to settle and see if we are able to enter long. All right, gold breaking out of the upper band. So gold is just in rally mode. RSI about to enter the overbought territory. Again, if you're still looking to enter the market, use psychological values, round values, 64, 66, 68. So yeah, this momentum to the upside is on your favor. So, all right, so we have the silver coming in. Let's see what the market will do if it'll bounce off the lower band and then just do a reversal to the upside towards the VWAP. Obviously, you want the candle to close above the band for us to consider entering long. I mean, the market has been pushing higher, so we are in this time frame in an uptrend. Overall, we are on an uptrend anyhow. Copper, parabolic movement to the upside. Nice. This would be a nice trade. All right, Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin is steadily just looking to reject that upper band. Let's see if it'll be able to fluctuate above that. And the currencies outside of the VWAP. So we understand that we should see the market be able to fluctuate higher. Now, this area right here is what I call a volume cluster. It created basically a double top, almost a triple top. Actually, they created a triple top with the wicks So that's a level of resistance of importance that we need to fluctuate above that. Right now, the market is pulling back, giving some of these profits back. Profit taking also in place. So we are looking at the market is basically entering this level. So this will be a level of support, and this will be a level of resistance. Let's see if the market will be able to reject this level and push higher. Now the dollar index will have a lot to say about that if the market, if obviously if it drops, but if it appreciates, if it recovers, then it will put pressure. But so we see that in this particular time frame, the market has rejected this area, this zone. So can we consider the market entering or fluctuating to this level of resistance? That is what is showing us, and that would have been obviously a scalping trade right there. So that was a scalping trade for us in this time frame. So let's leave that there. Let's take a look at what. All right, so the pound, this would have been a great entry long towards the VWAP. That's a target, initial target. If you had entered long off the lower band of the VWAP, and if also so the dollar index actually opened gap down, so it's pushing lower. So we want to see if the dollar index will penetrate the band towards the VWAP, and that will give us a great momentum to the upside on the currencies. So let's take a look. So pound is pushing higher. Euro on this particular small trade, reaching this particular level of resistance. Let's see if it'll penetrate this level of resistance and then close above that and continue to push higher. Then we will use, even the band will be a dynamic level of resistance itself. So to push higher. So it is pushing into that zone of resistance that we identified earlier. Let's see if this particular candle will be able to close above this level. So that was a nice trade. Oh, nice push to the upside. So it penetrated that level. Now what we want is for this to fluctuate higher, then come back to now what it is, a support, and then penetrate or enter the band. So we're looking for something like that to happen. So there's still 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on this candle. So let's take a look at other assets and see what they're doing. All right, so we see that Nasdaq did penetrated our band, our VWAP. It fluctuated outside the upper band and then back into the VWAP. It passed the VWAP obviously, but it's looking to give us entry long. So here, the upper band, as you can see, is giving us a dynamic level of resistance. We want the market to come into it, right? Fluctuate into it, pull back, and then off to the races, to the upside. In this particular Nasdaq, in the S&P, all right. So we see that the S&P bounced off the lower band, penetrated the VWAP. At this moment, it would have been an entry long target, and then your stop could be this level right here. But let's see if it gets stopped or if we get pushed to the upside. I mean, again, we're 8 minutes into the opening, so a lot of whipsaw movements. But this is just an example of how an entry will be. So the market is pulling back. Let's see how much more will it pull back towards where I'm sitting at, where the cursor is sitting at, and see if it'll take me out. It'll stop me out, or will it give me the second trade into the green, into the upper band, and it might just pull back enough to take me out, to stop me out. And let's see, it's still there. Now it's pushing higher. See, there he goes. It's having a pretty big of a fight here between buyers and sellers. So that area, that stop, that 6510 is still holding, and oop, yep, I stopped out. So I would have kind of stopped out on this particular trade. Okay, so that's that. Let's take a look at the Dow. Ooh, just such volatile movements on the Dow. Pretty wide swings. Nothing there to see. All right, so crude oil is giving us an indication that it might break down. Look at when market opening, how much of a range it created. So let's see if it'll do that. Nat gas is just around the VWAP. Choppiness. Gold, wow, spiked almost 668. So that also a pretty nice entry long on gold. Continue to push higher. I'm looking for gold to reach my level of resistance. That was the 0.382 percentage on the Fibonacci trading tool. I mean, this is all a new all-time high. This is a new all-time high. Again, all-time highs. So again, pushing higher. Silver fluctuating up the lower band. Great setup for a long entry to the VWAP, but I will be chasing it. That's a FOMO trade. That you don't want that. Then copper. So it picked its head above the upper band, making a particular setup for me to use the Fib Trace tool where I'll come in and choose that fractal low to the fractal high, and if you look at my levels, you see there's some levels coded yellow, which are the 23.60, 38.20, 50, and the 61.80. So if I enter whichever level I enter the market long, I'm looking to enter long, my target will be that yellow area. If I enter blue, my target will be this blue area. And if I wait for the market to retrace all the way down to this, and I enter here low, my target will be this red label. But if the market, in technical analysis, if we have identified a move, in this case it's an uptrend, an entry to the long up, and if the market retraces or pullbacks, the consensus is that if we have a healthy run, or we have a healthy trend, then the market will, after making that high of this fractal high, will pull back, and it can pull back all the way towards the 38.20, which coincidentally matches with the VWAP, and from here reverse and then move higher. So basically what I'm looking to do, what I'm looking for the market to do, is to pull back, retrace all the way down to the 38.20% level, and then entry long, and my target will be this area. So if that was the case, this trade will render me, and the stop. Okay, so the stop here, I'm looking towards my left, and the market actually broke out of this area, out of this zone, and you see how many times the market has been around this resistance level will now be support. So it makes sense to me to use that area, which happens to be also the Fibonacci golden ratio. So that could be a level where the market could come down towards initially, right? If I mean, for my stop, I enter here in the 38.20, and then a pullback can be contemplated to be as far as the golden proportion, and that's my stop. Because if it does continue, I mean, if it does pull back all the way down to this level, two choices, or two things will happen. One, obviously I'll get stopped out, or second, I'll get stopped out and the market will reverse and just move higher, because we are still in the area. Now, for me to come out and choose the stop as far down as the fractal low, it will make this trade very expensive. I'm looking to risk right about 237 pips to gain 287, and that doesn't make any sense. So I'm just gonna use that and see what will happen. I mean, the market is still idling. It's being flattish right now in this time frame. So let's see what will happen. Let's leave that there for a second and see what will happen. Bitcoin. All right, so Bitcoin is rallying. Let's see if the upper band will be rejected or will it fluctuate outside of it towards the 113. Towards the 113. That could be it. All right. So we did see a push higher towards the band, and it was rejected. So that would have been taking you out at a profit anyhow. So now that this level becomes support, the market could find that support around this level and just push higher. But we have already entered in this candle and have exited when it hit the upper band, the lower band. Sorry. Then we have pound within, it's just fluctuating within the band and the VWAP. So let's see if it'll find direction to the upside. In that direction to the upside, we saw that dollar index penetrating the band towards the VWAP. Let's see if it'll do another leg down, and if it does, we'll see a nice push to the upside on the other assets. All right, so in this particular candle, we're still basically just not giving us our entry. So let's take this out. Right now, the market is just basically fluctuating around the VWAP. S&P. So after 15 minutes, the market, let's take a look at 15 minutes so we can, that range, too much small of a range. So let's see if the market will find more of a uptrend. Initially, yeah, the market is going to first move lower before it moves higher, like the Dow is doing. So 4,500 is where it found its support. So it's getting ready to push higher. Now it's giving us that indication. But let's see where this candle closes. It has retraced a lot of this movement in this particular time frame. Let's see where it will close and see what will happen. All right. So crude oil, it's just very sideways trading. Not much of a. I mean, this obviously is creating a level for an opportunity for a breakout or a breakdown. So let's see what will happen, which one of the two will happen. Then we have nat gas. So finally looking to break away from the VWAP towards the upper band. Let's see if that will be the case. Gold, all right, so gold entering consolidation stage, getting ready for another attempt at a new all-time high. So let's see if that's the case for gold. 3670 psychologically initially. Silver, all right, so silver as well. Now it's trading back into the VWAP. So let's see if we can find an opportunity to enter long, and if this lower band is rejected, so we can enter long towards the VWAP. These are scalping trades. All right, so we've seen here copper. See if we are gonna enter here. If copper will give us this entry, I mean, it's coming down towards that level, and see if that will be the case for copper for us to enter the market long. So basically, I see again the VWAP, it reversed off the VWAP so far. We still have 47 seconds. Let's see where this candle closes, because this could be that entry that we were waiting for. It came down to the VWAP, and look, the market, that's where the market reversed. So again, the use of the VWAP is very, very, very suitable. It's very applicable. It's an indicator that you don't need uh, trend lines and all that stuff anymore. I mean, obviously, trend lines they worked at the beginning, but with all of this technology now, and after you have been following the markets and you visually place them, you visually place those trend lines, so you understand that the market is going higher long term because you look at the overall market initially, and then you break down the time frame. So in this time frame, the 5 minute time frame, I'm I'm looking at the market to push higher. This gap, this candle open gap up, so indication that we should see a momentum to the upside. RSI is above 50, looking to reach 60. That will give us more of indication that we are on the right side of the trade. So momentum to the upside. We're entering long. Let's see what will happen. All right, let's continue. We'll come back to this trade and see how it went. All right, so we have Bitcoin here rejecting the upper band. So entry short towards the VWAP could be a trade opportunity. Seeing the euro now entering the VWAP, the band, it's penetrating the band, the lower band. That would have been an entry right here as well. But obviously, we first want this candle to close above that because it has created a dynamic resistance right now with these two wicks, which it penetrated the lower band, but we want a candle to close above that, and then we can enter long towards the VWAP. So let's take a look at the pound. VWAP rejected, pushing lower. Will trade all the way down towards the lower band? That could be a case, but let's wait and see how this candle closes. Because this candle could recover, right, and then come back towards the VWAP and basically close above the VWAP. If that's the case, then I'm looking to enter long towards the upper band. And those things will happen as we see that the dollar index continues to fluctuate to the downside towards the VWAP. So as the asset falls towards the VWAP, we'll see a push higher on the currencies and the metals. But if the dollar index recuperates and fluctuates towards this fractal high, we'll see a push lower. Obviously, we'll see pressure on the currencies and the metals. All right, so that's that. We have 8 minutes left on this webinar, and so the asset Nasdaq in this almost half hour has created a high and basically a low right now, because this was done in the London session. So let's take a look at half an hour. So see, that's the range. So that's a high, that's a low. Let's see what will it do. Let's go back to the 5 minutes. So again, the assets, the indexes will push lower first and then reverse. That's what they've been doing basically the last few days. Again, the Dow, that upper band, the lower band is being rejected. Then we have a possible breakout on crude oil. Possible breakout in crude oil. We peak a hair above that. So, I mean, if we were to go long, we want to be able to, our target will be our fractal highs. Nat gas. So it penetrated the VWAP and now it's just completely past it, crossed it. So the lower band should be our first level of risk of support, dynamic level of support. Let's see what will happen. All right, gold is getting set for another leg up. That's for sure. or it could break down. But see, it's actually just making a floor here. So looking for entry longs. Let's see where this candle will close. So we were looking at copper. So copper is looking to just continue to retrace all of this movement that we had analyzed. So let's see. I mean, my stop loss is down here. I could probably get hit on that. At Bitcoin, creeping back into the VWAP. Let's see if that would be the case. The euro. So this candle didn't close above our band, lower band. So it pushed lower. Pound looking to penetrate the lower band. If it does, then your target, if you enter short, yep, will it revisit this swing low here. And dollar index appreciating, pushing higher. So there we go. All right, guys. Well, that'll be it for me today. Thank you for joining me. And same time, same place tomorrow, 8 o'clock, half an hour prior to the US session open. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.